Come on. Bear with me 1 second, it's having a wobbler. Oh no, there we go. We good? Yes, right. Okay, so coming to standing. So we're going to do the long lunge, move about to the other side stuff that we were doing. And the only reason I'm telling you is so that you can decide which way you need to have your leading leg, so that when you turn around, you kind of face the camera. So for me, that's left leg forward and coming down into our long lunge position. So I'm going to have both hands on the inside of the front leg, whichever leg that is for you, hip distance apart. So I'm kind of one foot's at one side of the mat, the other foot's at the other side of the mat. So you've got some space between your legs and just relaxing down into this position. You might be tented on your fingers, wherever you are, that's fine. So from here, just sinking, you want to sink the hips down towards the floor or the pelvis down towards the floor as much as you can. This front shin's still vertical. And then from here, almost like you're pulling yourself forward so that you are lifting the chest up. And for me, to get my chest lifted, to come to a more flat back position, I need to come up onto my tented fingers. So when I'm here on flat hands, I'm more rounded, which isn't the end of the world, but just to get that little bit of extension in to the upper back. So lifting the chest forward, lifting the gaze forward. And as you do that, the hips should drop that little bit further. And then from there, we're going to do the walk around. So keeping the hips low, walking the hands around. Foot position changes. So you might need to just alter the width of your feet again. Come down onto the hands first. And again, just sinking the hips down as much as they can there. So just allowing gravity to do the work. And then checking in on this side, you know, can you lift the chest? And for me, I'm coming up onto my tented fingers again to be able to lift the chest up and drop the hips down that little bit further. You might find the back knees bent, that's okay as well. It can be straight, we'll make it a bit lift, we'll lift your hips up a little bit more, but if you bend it slightly, you'll drop the hips down. So you can play with both, you know, straight leg and then bent leg. It just changes what's happening or where the stretch is felt. And then same thing again, lift the hips up, keeping them low to the ground, or keeping everything low to the ground, walk the hands around to the other side, sort the feet out. And then this time we'll come into our rotation. So if it's left foot forward, it's left arm up. So left arm rotate towards the ceiling. So the arm at this moment in time is up towards the ceiling, that's fine. And we're rotating the chest up and round. All we need to do is bring the hand down to about 45 degrees and then just see if you can rotate even further. So it's almost like I'm letting the leg come out to the side, the front leg coming out to the side a little bit, and I'm pushing myself round to open out even further. And then slowly release back around. We're going to repeat on the other side. So again, sort your feet out when you get round there. So this time, it's a front arm rotate up towards the ceiling again. And hold it there for a moment. And then the arm comes down to about 45. And we push around or pull around even further. I'm using the bottom hand to really push the floor away and out to the side to rotate me round. You might get a stretch into the glute on that sort of front leg side. A lot more rotation, release back, and again, shuffle over to the other side. Again, sorting the feet out, bit of a faff with the feet, I know. And then this time we're gonna bring the elbow down towards the floor. So it's gonna look like this. We're gonna rotate elbow up to the sky. So leading with the elbow up towards the ceiling. And then leading with the elbow down towards the floor. So I'm keeping my elbow flexed, and it will either get there or it won't. Today is not a good day for my elbow getting to the floor on this side. And then twisting open, leading with the elbow up to the sky. And then leading with the elbow down to the floor. So we do, you know, we try to get forearm down. This time I'm just pointing the elbow down towards the floor and then pointing it up towards the ceiling. And it's almost like I'm drawing a bow, an arrow, and pulling that elbow back and up. So it's a strong movement. elbow to floor. Last one, elbow to sky and elbow to floor. And then we'll switch sides from there. Jiggery pokery with the feet, get yourself organized, plant the hand. So it's front arm, elbow leads up to the sky. And then elbow leads down towards the floor. Elbow leads up to sky. Elbow leads down to the floor. You get the idea. It's just a variation. Up to the sky. So on this side, I can get the elbow to the floor. I can touch it. I have to let my knee drop right out to the side, which is less than ideal because you want the movement to come from you being able to get the hips closer to the floor, not necessarily cheating by flinging the leg out to the side. But that's okay. After this morning's stretch class, I'll be back to normal. One last time, down to the floor and release, and then come center. So you're in that kind of straddle stretch position, and your feet are, she says, level, in line with one another, and the hands coming down to the floor. So same again here, we're going to round the spine so you can relax the spine and let your head come towards the floor. Elbows bent. And then straighten the elbows. And again, you might need to come up onto tented fingers to lift the chest up. So I'm coming to like tail up, chest up. It's a variation on a cat-cow essentially. So we're rounding the spine, bending the elbows. Straighten the elbows and lift the chest forward. So tail up, chest up in this long position. One more time, down towards the floor. One more time into extension, lifting the chest, lifting the tail. And then slowly release. And however you want to get down to the mat, I'm just going to bend one knee and then the other, because we're coming down to frog. So wide through the knees, wide through the feet, or wider through the feet. Hands under shoulders, tail lifted, chest lifted, rocking forward and back. You can bring the shoulders forward of the hands if you wish, so you feel that wrist stretch. Good to get some wrist mobility in before we come into the sort of animal movements. Rock you forwards and back. And then from there, we're going to skip the elbow version today. We're just going to bring in the internal rotation of your thigh bone. So as you come forward, you're going to rotate the thigh bone inwards so that the foot lifts up off the floor. The knee would be pointing down into the floor, and then lower it down. Rock back and then rock forward. Same again on the other side. Noticing the difference between sides. I'm going super slow this morning, again, just because I've had a weekend of doing very little. So I'm conscious of the fact that everything's just feeling a little bit like it's been sat in a car for hours and hours, which it has. So move at your own speed, explore at your own pace. I have a nasty habit, and it is a habit, of looking at my foot as it lifts, which means that my body rotates slightly to look at it. And that's not like it's a bad movement, but it's a nasty habit on my part because it means that I can get my foot higher if I turn to look at it because I'm collapsing in slightly. If I keep it pure and keep my chest forward, you'll notice I can't lift the leg as high. So it's not that one's right and one's wrong. It's just I've got a nasty habit of doing one and not the other. Things to notice about yourself. Last couple. Look, you see, I was going to do it again. Last one. Marvelous. And from there, drag your feet or your knees back together. And we're going to come down onto or into a side plank position. So your choice, whichever side. So we'll be doing both, obviously. Stagger the feet so you've got a wider base of support. Your choice, hand down or fist, whichever makes sense. And then we're going to lift the hips up just to our side plank to start with. We're just going to hold. Last 3, last 2, and last 1, and then lower back down. And we're going to do lift and lowers. Let's just come back up into the side plank again. So come back up to start with. So you're up in this side plank position. Things to remember, shoulder over elbow, and I'm pulling my elbow, it's not moving, but I'm pulling my elbow towards my hip, this direction. So I'm activating under the armpits. I'm trying to get the lats activated. And if you do that, you should feel more work on the underside. And I'm squeezing my inner thighs together. So I'm trying to create a little bit more tension while I'm just in this static position, because that will help keep me supported when I start moving limbs about. And then lower back down. So when you lift and lower, we're going to be gently tapping the hip to the floor and lifting back up, not particularly quickly, but you want to find that tension again. So remember, elbow pulling towards hip, inner thigh squeezing, glutes are on, everything like that. So same thing, here we go, up into the plank, elbow to waist, inner thighs. I'm going to tap the hip down and lift. Tap and lift. Tap and lift. And the trick is not to collapse into the shoulder. The movement is coming from almost like a little side bend as the hips come down, not a collapse into the shoulder. I'm literally just pivoting on the shoulder. Last two, and last one. And then bring your bottom leg through to become your front leg in a 90-90. And then whatever you need to do, however much you need to lean to be able to pick that back leg up, foot flexed, I'm going to push back and make sure it's your thigh bone moving in your pelvis, not your whole body going. Not your knee changing position, it's your thigh bone going back. And you should feel the glute is working. You know, if you give it a poke, it should be tensing and relaxed. Well, not really relaxing, it's going to be staying on, but you get the idea. Last couple. And release it down. And then same thing, you're going to come down onto the elbow. You're going to bring that front leg back so it comes under. So switching legs essentially. And then same thing, we're going to come up into the side plank. Elbow active, so it's pulling down towards the waist. Inner thighs active. Top shoulder roll back so your chest is open to the front. And we're going to tap and release again. So tap the hip down and lift. The tap is not a relaxation at the bottom. You're not kind of resting at the bottom. You're keeping nice and active. Last three, last two, and last one. Same thing, come back to your 90-90 position. However much you need to lean or kickstand the hand to get that back leg off the floor. If you can do it without hands, great. And pushing back. Last two, and last one. And then come straight back to your plank. Last set, switch the legs over, top leg in front. Elbow pulling in towards your side, so nice and active. Lift the hips up, square the shoulders forward, chest forward, hello you, and then tap the hip and lift. Last couple, last two, and last one. Last set of your 90-90 lifts. Same thing, lift and push back. See if it's freed off or gotten easier. May not have done. Last two, last one, and release it down. And then we're going to switch straight over to the other side, to our side plank position. So same again on this side, just a hold to start with, lift the hips. So it's just a moment to check in, chest square to the camera, hips square to the camera, everything stacked. Elbow pulling towards hips, inner thighs, glutes all engaged, switched on, squeezing together. Hold for 3, 2, for 1, and lower back down. And then we're going to do the lift and lowers from there. So when you lift, coming on up, Elbow pulling in, inner thighs, and then we tap and lift. And last one. And then find your 90-90. It's the underneath leg that comes forward. Same thing. You want to lean slightly so that you can lift the back leg, flex the foot, and push back with the thigh. So there's a movement coming from the glute, trying to get your leg to go behind your body or your thigh to go behind your body. Doesn't go very far, obviously, but the focus is what I'm saying is on backwards. We've got all that range of movement coming forwards. How much have you got going backwards? Last two, last one. And release it down, back onto the elbow, swap the legs over. Straight into it, lift the hips up. Elbow squeezing in, inner thighs, glutes, and then lift and lower. So you're contracting that underside as you lift. Last two. And last one, lower it down. 90-90 with the hips. Well, legs, same thing. Pushing back. Going to kickstand on this side slightly. Last two. And last one. And release it down. Last set for your planks. Get organized. Lift the hips up, squeeze everything where we're squeezing it, and then lift and lower without losing any of that tension, without falling over backwards. Last three, last two, and last one. Split the legs one last time for your 90-90, however much you need to lean to get that back leg to lift, and then to get it to move. Let me try without hands on this next one. Can I help you? Something I can help you with? Last two, and last one, and then release that leg down. And then we're going to come over onto all fours. And I'm going to turf the cat off the mat. Go on, bugger off. Come on. All right, so coming into our static beast position. So knees in line with belly button, otherwise hip distance apart, hands under shoulders, etc. Push the floor away so you're nice and active through the back of the shoulders or the shoulder blades. And then activate here, hovering the knees just an inch off the floor. Hold and breathe. Last couple breaths there. And release back down. And then we're going to come into our, oh God, what is it? Loaded beast. In fact, I'm just going to get rid of this. Give myself a little bit more stick to the floor. So we're going to practice our front step, which is just coming into that long lunge. But there's an extra bit to it. So let's practice that first. So however you want to get to your loaded beast, I'm going to hover the knees here. I'm going to take the hips back. Then I'm going to walk the hands away. That's my option. Knees go wider than hips. And you're going to front step forward with the right foot. So front step forward, right foot. And it's coming hopefully in front of the right hand and nice and wide. So we've got this big window between the front foot and the front hand. And then the right foot step forward, it's the right hand that's going to lift and you're just going to pull it into your side. Yeah, so the elbow's pulling back, forearm parallel to the floor or thereabouts. So it's no different to what we've been doing when we've been rotating and stuff, except we want to try and get the hand off the floor at the same time as the foot. So there's a coordination thing, right? So the hand comes back down, we step back and come back to your loaded beast. Left foot steps forward, hand lifts and pulls into your side. So that's just the finished position. Yeah, that's just where we want to be. So the trick to it is to really fling the leg forward. And that way you won't have to kind of do that double step. It's not as easy as it sounds, but we're going to try on this next one and lift the hand at roughly the same time as the foot lands. All right, so hand comes back down, step back to loaded beast, so we go straight into the right side. So fling that leg forward, pick the hand up at the same time, or thereabouts, yeah? Hand comes back down, we step back, left front step, step and pull the hand back. Step. Hand comes back down, loaded beast, couple more, step forward, right. Hand comes down, we step back, one more time, left, hand pulls in. Nicely done, good. So that's the front step, that's all it is. Yeah, there's loads of stuff that comes after that, but for our purposes, that will do. And so we come back and then lower the knees for a small rest and a wiping of sweaty parts if you're sliding on the floor like I am. So we'll use today to work through some of the movements, just nice and slow and steady, and then we'll add on the rest of the week until we build it up into a bit of a flow. So let's start with the loaded beast and we'll come into unload to start with. Then we'll do the wave and so on, but let's start with unload. So as before, hover the knees, sit back, walk the hands away, knees wider than hips. So we unload from here, keep the knees low, chin tucks, tail tucks. The knees will not straighten because you tuck in the pelvis so much. See if you can push forward on your toes that little bit further and see if you can take your wrists, no, not your wrists, your shoulders in front of your wrists. And then back to your loaded beast, keeping the knees low. Let's do one more. Nice and slowly forward. Use the toes to push you that little bit further forward if you can. And then back to your loaded beast and lower the knees. Let's go wave and load. So we're going to go hips high first, finding that wave through the spine. All right, same thing here. Hover the knees. Up we go, hips high, heels high. Find that high point first. Curl the tail, lead with the upper back, chin tucked. And you can't come down any further or forward any further. The hips lower and the chin's the last thing to raise. And then going back, tuck the chin first. Push the floor away, push the floor away, push the floor away, round the spine, up, 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 up. And then lower back to your loaded beast. Go again, lift up high, wave and load. Face the last thing to come up. Reverse, chin down. Round up to the sky. Bend the knees back to your loaded beast and then lower the knees down. Come back to a static beast or baby beast. I'm going to, let's practice the, oh God, Kel, the under switches, blah, 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 blah. Right, under switches. So static beast, hover the knees. So we're going to go left under switch to crab, left leg under switched to crab, all the way through. Hand and foot come down at the same time, hopefully. Going back the same way. So left leg under switch, back to beast. Right leg under switch to crab, hand and foot come down at the same time-ish. Right leg under switch, back to beast. Same thing, left leg under switch to crab. Left leg under switch, back to beast. Right leg under switch to crab. Right leg under switch, back through to beast. And then rest the knees down. Because I've got a frog. Okay, we're good, right? So we're going to go crab reach. So when you land, if you're doing left leg under switch into crab reach, it'll be right hand that's going to do the reach. And when you land, make sure you land and take your feet a little bit wider. It gives your hips room to move. So when you do the reach, you want your feet a little bit wider than hip distance. Okay, so set beast. Left leg under switch to crab reach. So we're going to left leg under switch, right hand comes in front of the face, feet slightly wider than hips. Lift the hips to the ceiling, face and hand to the ceiling, and then reach and twist. So the rotation here is me trying to stack my top shoulder on top of my bottom shoulder. So I'm rotating the chest towards the floor. And then head and hand back to the ceiling, lower the hips down, and then we go left leg under switch back to beast. Left leg under switch to beast. We go straight into the other side. So right leg under switch to crab reach, right leg under switch, left hand in front of the face, lift the hips, then do the reach and the rotation. Or you might just be lifting the hips to the ceiling, whichever. Breathe and hold. Head and hand back to the ceiling first. Lower the hips back down, and we go right leg under switch back to beast. And lower the knees. Well done. Okay, so we're going to do that again. In fact, we might do 1 or 2 each side, just going from side to side, but we'll go a little bit, not quick, but a little bit quicker than we were doing. So we're not going to be up there quite as long. But make sure you separate it out. So when you get to the hips to the ceiling, you're looking still, the hands still in front of the face. Hit that position first with your hips high before you then add in the rotation. Yeah, separate it out. Don't try and get your hips up and the rotation at the same time. It's not like it's a bad thing, but it's a lot better for your spine and stuff if you don't. So hit the top position first. All right, so set static base. Let's go left leg under switch to what will be a right arm crab reach. So left leg under switch, wide with the feet, lift the hips, then add the rotation, derotate, head to hand to ceiling, lower the hips, left leg under switch back to beast. Right leg under switch to crab reach, lift the hips, add the rotation, reaching the fingertips down towards the ground, head and hand back to the ceiling, lower the hips, right leg under switch back to beast. Same again, left leg under switch to right arm crab reach, lift the hips, add the rotation, head and hand back to ceiling, lower the hips, left leg under switch back to beast, right leg under switch to left arm crab reach, lift the hips, reach, head and hand back to the ceiling, lower the hips, right leg under switch, back to beast, and rest. Bloody hell, where's the time gone? It's 28 minutes past 7. What happened? Oh my God, I've got my own class to do at 7:30. Quickly, on your fronts, no, on your sides. A pretzel, the quickest pretzel you've ever done. It's a good job you all know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, just make it up as you go along. Tie yourself in a knot, breathe a little bit, that's a pretzel. Breathe. And switch sides. Well, seriously, where's the time gone? I had loads of stuff written down. I must have got carried away with my crab reaches. I don't think we did that much. We clearly have done. Oh dear. You're going to need to make this a 2-hour session at this rate. What are you eating? And rest. Bloody cat's eating a plastic tag. Come here, little rat. Well done, chaps. I'm so sorry for my crap timekeeping this morning. That was dreadful. It's like that. Oh, I was going to do wave and load into a crab reach, into a scorpion, add all sorts.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Right. We'll do that tomorrow. Yeah, we'll just pick up where we left off.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Let's go. You too. Yeah. Thanks, chaps. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye.